You hit upon the word, the logical brain, and I talk a lot about that because, again, when I was in the military, everything, and even in the political realm,
Structure. Yeah.
everything had to be logical,
Yeah.
structured. It had to make sense. It had to have some sort of rationale behind it. And so I have clients that are that way too, but now they
Mhm.
are open to exploring it. So one of the things that I feel is my strength is being able to help people who are really in this logical realm. I mean, so many of us come from that, okay,
Mhm.
myself included. I'm considering myself more of as a bridge from this logical realm to this more mystical realm,
Mhm.
this intuitive world. And it's not that one is right or wrong, but it's learning how to get the two to work together. And it's like learning to let the intuitive side be the kind of be the compass, be the guide, let you help kind of figure out, okay, this is where you need to go. And then the logical brain is going to help figure out, okay, how do we get there?
Mhm.
So the things that I'm trying to do is just get people to kind of let go of that logical brain because it's so dominant in everything that we do and everything
Yeah.
that we're taught. But learning to let go of that, and then even the messaging that I'm getting is to help people kind of step out of that logical brain, but then step into their step into their heart space, step into that intuitive knowing, trust that intuitive knowing, and that is when you say that, how do you help people do that? I actually wrote and it's on my website. It's a free guide that seven signs the universe is speaking to you and how to listen. And
Mhm.
that's one of the first ways that I help people kind of understand, okay, you're talking about what are the signs and things that they see, the person that shows up at just the right time, or the pull that you might feel to doing something or not do something.
Right.
Those are all these signs that we're being given, and just learning how to pay attention to those is part of helping to release that logical thought process and stepping into this intuitive knowing and
Yeah.
learning to blend the two together.
Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Third Chances. Well, this is the second time we have Kathleen Davenport, and I absolutely love her. What a sunshine smile. She lives in Hawaii, which is obviously the whole sunshine state. And we had her before. It was episode 30, if you want to go back and re-listen, because we at that time we were talking most about her life coaching. She is motivational speaker, beautiful photographer. She posts beautiful pictures online. Also trainer for personal development, uh, avid golfer, and retired Air Force officer. So she has a long sheet of accomplishments, and she was also recognized as the 100 most influential Filipino woman in the USA, blending her unique skill set and her own personal transformations. So we became friends. She's a joy to be around. And of course, lately she started changing her pose a little bit. So we started talking, and I think this is gonna be very different conversation this time, because she is now more into spiritual and mystical wisdom, which is kind of attractive and funny at the same time, because from the army where you have a strict skill set and disciplines, to go more into the mystical and into the mindset and the spiritual world is really not quite usual, but of course Kathy can do it. So Kathy, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Vera. I so much appreciate being here.
Great to see you again, and you have to tell us all about this, because I think a lot of people are curious about this world. I had some spiritual people before, and it's sometimes it's things that you intuitively feel that are around you and above you, but it's always this unknown world that we like to pursue. And so, what happened that you kind of transform into this space more? I'm sure it was always with you, but not as profound as lately, probably.
Right. This I want to call it, it's a gift of intuitive and knowing guidance that I receive and being able to receive information. I've always had this sense,
Mm-hmm.
and interest in all things psychic and extrasensory, and receiving guidance from, just the normal everyday thing. I've had that since I was a young child, but never really recognized it or even realized what it was that I had the ability to do. So I just went along with all of the traditional types of things that you do growing up. I went to college, went into the Air Force after that, and then just had very traditional careers
Mm-hmm.
beyond that. Just after I retired from the Air Force, then I went into had my own photography business and training people in personal development and such. And as I was going through all of these different careers, to include a time in working in city government and working with a traditional company, a private corporation,
Mm-hmm.
it was all just very, very conventional. And I really didn't, underneath it all, I always knew that there was something more I was supposed to be doing, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. As many of us kind of sense and feel, oh, there's something more, there's still something more. What is my purpose? And I,
Yeah.
I kind of knew what my purpose was, was helping people and training people, but there was still something more. So to make the long story a little bit shorter, was that I finally just came to a point that I thought, you know what? I had this ability and I really would like to use it to help others. I was already doing a lot of personal development training.
Mm-hmm.
And it was during those training sessions, again, very traditional life coaching, that I had people tell me, two women within a 2 week period, two different clients. And each of them at one time said to me, did you know that information that you were giving me, that you were channeling that information? And I said, I'm not really sure what I was doing. I was just giving what I felt was good guidance. And
Yeah.
so I started exploring that. And I realized that I was tapping into a higher type of wisdom and being able to relay that information. So I just really started exploring that and met some mentors along the way who encouraged me to um, explore this gift and be able to use it in a much larger way, which is where I am now.
Yes, it's so fascinating to me because I have known some people that it was in the family, like it
Mhm.
was inherited from generation to generation. And they sometimes, like, they were shy of it because they didn't think it was normal.
Oh,
And
yeah.
or in the regular world, like, I'm weird. But for you, it seems like you may be the first one that found these gifts in you, or am I mistaken?
No, if it has been in my family, it was never made known to me, but I do know now that my daughter also has the ability to channel information. She has the ability to act as a medium. Her skill set's a little bit different than mine. So I'm finding that but her abilities her gifts are very strong as well. So and as well with my other daughter too. I have two daughters. So it may have been in our family line, but I was just never made aware that
Mm.
that's where it came from.
So
So
how did you realize that this may be a gift, that this is not something that everybody is able to do?
yeah, I started, again, you go back to that, you don't really want to tell anybody about it. So it's because again, here I was in the military and then I went to work in the political realm. It's not something that you tell
Yeah,
people. It's like,
doesn't
oh,
go together well.
I'm hearing voices, and I'm
Right.
getting information. It's not. So how did I actually start working with with this gift is, gosh, I've always known I had this ability, and I started using it in my motivational talks too. And I started realizing that when I would do a motivational talk, that I never really prepared. I might have a couple of notes on what they wanted me to talk about, but the information would just come. So I never had a prepared
Oh,
script.
wow.
And so I started sitting with that and I thought, you know what? It's not because I was procrastinating, could never write a script out. It was just that
Mm.
I realized that all the information for that particular audience was being given to me, and the right words were going to come out for that audience. So no two talks were ever the same. And then I couldn't ever remember what it was. And then I had a friend tell me, she goes, "Well, that's probably because you're a channel. You are just getting this information and being able again to relay it." So I really started stepping into that and just sitting down and getting quiet and um, learning that, yeah, this is information that I'm not making up. I started doing what I call channeled writing. Actually, just it's an
Mhm.
exercise to learn about developing your abilities to connect. And I started doing channeled writing, and I thought, this writing is not my language. This is not any, not that it was a foreign language. It was just not words that I would normally use. It was just
Wow.
such a beautiful sentences and paragraphs and information that was being relayed to me to be able to relate to others.
Hmm.
And so I just started stepping into it more fully and then had mentors that encouraged me, just coaches, also spiritual coaches that said, go ahead, go ahead and offer this out. And
Yeah.
I was very hesitant, but then the more I started offering readings for people, I realized that, oh, yeah, there is something to this. And I'm not making this up because they would also affirm to me that the information that I was telling them was there was no way I could have known
Yeah.
what I was sharing with them and how it was impacting their their decisions and thoughts going forward. So then I just started fully. So this has actually just been the last year that I've
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
stepped forward with this, and it just feels so aligned and so comfortable now.
It's funny. I was just gonna ask you how does it feel to you, and you just said it.
Right. I was
Maybe
thinking,
I have some little intuition there too.
yeah,
No,
it feels so aligned. It feels so comfortable. I don't feel like there was when I was starting out a year ago, and again, I've had this ability for a long, long time. It was just really acknowledging and honoring it. So it hasn't felt like anything, oh, this is weird, or this is a whole new chapter that I'm stepping into. I'm finally just kind of taking off the covers. And it feels so comfortable. I'm finally feeling like, I can breathe. It's not like I'm holding back
yeah.
anything, any parts of myself anymore. It's like I can be who I was meant to be and serve in the way that I'm meant to serve.
Yeah, I think that's the point because we all try to be as authentic as possible, and usually where there is a stress, there's the disconnect between what we say and what the real actions are. And I think that's what creates this disconnect when people feel like they are not themselves. They are, not pretending, but there's a word in business world that people are using of like, I feel like I am not authentically there. I'm giving
That's
the
good.
message, but it's not me. And and I'm like, but that's something that is in our control, that we can change that. Nobody else can change it for you. You either open up or not.
Exactly. And then what happens when you're not authentic? Authentic alignment is the words that I like to use,
Mhm.
just being who you are and then acknowledging the things that are really feeling um, well in alignment, feeling along the right purpose for you. And when those, it's like a car, when things are out of alignment, when your tires and wheels and everything's out of alignment, you're not riding along very comfortably or very
Yeah,
smooth.
yeah,
You're being pulled. And so when things are in alignment, and that's how I feel now, everything is so much in alignment. I don't have that stress
yeah,
of trying to pretend or being something that I'm not. And we've all been there. We've all done it because society expects us to conform to certain standards and
yeah,
expectations. And so we go that path, but it's nice to be able to arrive at this point that, hey, I can be me, you
yeah.
know. I
And
can
it's also, I think, when you really achieve that, when you open fully with everything you are so susceptible to any criticism because it cannot touch you. You
Hmm.
know, it's people are so concerned online, like, oh, somebody will, if I write this, somebody will, you know, jump in and they will. Yeah, everybody has opinion, and everybody, especially behind the keyboard, they are very easy
Yes,
to let you that opinion know. But if you are comfortable in your skin and you're doing something that you absolutely are aligned to do, it can't touch you. Whatever
it
opinion of somebody else that you don't even know doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. I tell myself, those are not my people. If
Yeah,
what I have to say doesn't resonate with them, those are not my people. They're entitled
absolutely.
to their opinions, but though then there are those, when I'm putting information out and posting things, there are people who are saying, "Oh my gosh, that was exactly what I needed to hear." And I thought,
Mhm.
those are my people.
Yeah,
Those are the
yeah,
ones.
exactly. And I
That's my
think that's
tribe.
that's the big point because we cannot be pleasing to everybody. Even in the coaching world, there's so many coaches, but
Right.
you have to find the one that resonates on a deep personal level with you because some people need a kick in the butt, some people need compassion, some people need encouragement, some people need somebody who will hustle aside of them and keep them accountable. Everybody needs something different, and if you don't find that match, you are not giving yourself any favor because you may be choosing coach that actually doesn't work for you.
Right.
I think that's very important because everybody is unique and everybody needs a unique, you know, perspective and unique structure to achieve what they can achieve.
That is so absolutely true. Every coach or every person, no matter what their occupation, they have, but they are giving information or they are giving advice or they are working through the lens of their own life.
Yeah,
So that's how they filter any kind of information or any kind of well, let's use the word information. Any kind of information that they are wanting to put forth, it is
mhm.
always filtered through the lens of their own life. So that's exactly what you said. It's important for people to recognize that and connect with people that they feel comfortable with, but then will also help them maybe a little bit of uncomfortableness. That's not a word, but maybe just a little bit of working with someone who will push them
Oh yeah,
out of their comfort zone but will still feel in alignment with the direction that that
yeah,
individual wants to go.
yeah,
So there is
yeah.
that balance.
Yeah, it is really tricky and it's for some strong personalities when you start swinging them off the path they believe is right. Yeah, you may just achieve that they close off and stop
Yeah.
cooperating, which is a shame. But this doesn't apply to you because I'm just like terrorizing kind of with you because we have such an understanding together. It's just for me, I'm trying to imagine when you started fully exploring this and offering it as a gift and service. It's like to me, it comes like maybe there is some mystic, background from Philippines. Maybe there's a mystic like environment in Hawaii. I have never been, love to
Yeah.
go. So it's all play in your favor. Maybe you are meant to be there and to just open up and so how do you uh let's say you're meeting someone,
Mhm.
can they read it in your eyes that you are able to read their aura?
It's so funny that you mentioned that because when I was working in the corporate world and I was working for this private company once, and I had to interview
Mhm.
someone for a position on my team. And I could tell she was nervous and she was trying to put out a very good vibe. And I said, you did a really good job. I appreciate it. And I said, thank you for the interview. So the interview was officially over. And she goes, "Oh, I'm so relieved." And now this interview was for a position we were working with kind of a health and wellness company, right? And she said, "Oh, I'm so glad this interview is over." She said, "Because I heard that you were a psychic, and I was so afraid that you were going to be able to read my mind that I went and had fast food before this interview."
Oh my gosh.
And I said, "No, you know what? I can't read minds. I don't read minds, but I am giving information. So no, I didn't pick up on that. But I am very intuitive to things that I've always been very intuitive. And it's been to the point that even years ago, I'm talking 10, 15 years ago, I would be able to just kind of look at someone's face and see what's going on in their eyes, and I could almost tell exactly what was going on with them. And I just thought that was kind of a normal thing, but then I
Mhm.
realized, oh, that's not the way it is with a lot of people. But I've known that I've always been very empathic, very intuitive, and
Mhm.
tuned in to other people. So I think that's, again, this is just another stage of my development now, is actually being
Yeah.
able to attain information,
But I
obtain.
think from the coaching world, it is also the skill to really listen to people, to
Mhm.
not just listen with already preparing your answer in the head, to really listen and understand where that person is coming from, what the energy there is, and even what they are not saying.
Yeah.
And I think that makes excellent coach. And you were very successful in coaching people. I think this is just like another level that you bring to the table that can actually really help someone to understand themselves sometimes. It's like sometimes we are in positions like, I don't know what's wrong with me. This is who I am, and suddenly I can move forward, and people are calling it I'm stuck. I don't understand why I respond this way. And those are people that are not weak or dumb or unaware, but they can't pinpoint it themselves. They need somebody from outside to see the bigger picture and kind of show them that maybe the answer is not here, but it could be somewhere where you didn't even look,
Yeah.
right?
It's interesting that you say that and you use the word picture. And again, with the life coaching, it's so much, as you know, it's so much about helping pull it out of another person, helping them reach that point of understanding. Where I go now with the intuitive guidance, or with the whatever I want to call spiritual channeling that I'm able to do. And when I'm working with a client, what I can do, or what I'm shown, is images, pictures. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how it works when I do readings for people.
Hmm.
I can take them into a space, or I am being shown images of things that might be those blocks, or where are the strengths that they need to pull from. I'm shown images, I'm being shown pathways, and I'm being shown opportunities that they may have missed, or need to be aware of, that's
Yeah.
probably going to be coming along on their path. And so as I'm talking to people, it's really interesting that the images that I'm being shown are so representative of where they are and the potential for where they could go. And I had one woman that I was reading for, and she was having some difficulties in her life, but she couldn't figure out what it was. And I told her that I was being shown images of a little girl, but then there was like this game of tug and war being played between this girl and this other woman.
Hmm.
And so we went into a little bit more details around that, what I was being shown. And then she said, "Oh my gosh, I had completely forgotten about an incident that happened to me as a young girl." And I don't think it was anything tragic, but it was just something that sat in her subconscious, and she wasn't, had totally forgotten about it.
Hmm.
She said now that she was being reminded of it, and then also being reminded of her strengths now as a grown woman, she was better able to redirect where she was going and the actions that she was taking to help her move forward in her career and her personal life.
Hmm.
So it's those kinds of things that can help, that I feel makes me, even, like you said, the life coach, but a different level of
Yeah.
helping people.
Yeah, because that differentiates you from the typical life coach that have tools available and definitely abilities and talent and experience. But this is like an extra.
It helps get people answers quicker, is what I found. And that's why I love doing the readings for people,
Mhm.
because instead of taking what used to take me weeks of coaching with an individual, now we can have a single session of a reading, and we can get to, so much more clarity.
Breakthrough. Yeah.
Individual. Yeah,
Yeah.
breakthroughs in just one session. It really helps them understand their lives so much better and
Yeah.
faster.
Yeah. Yeah, for some reason, I just remember one of my first coaching clients that uh, how it feels when you start exploring with someone what the problem is. and they come to you with assumed problem,
Hmm.
or they come to you with they believe that there's problem in this field, and then you start listening, and it opens a whole new world that they didn't even look at, and suddenly you feel like there is the problem. And
Right.
it's not that they don't even say it, or they don't even know it, and it's the intuition that you have that leads you on a path, like how about this, and then bingo. And so I think a little bit of intuitive is in every coach, if they have the ability to listen properly and really pay attention and really align with the person. But it's just yeah, I wish I had your talents. I would love
Oh,
to.
it's so interesting that you said that because I firmly believe everybody has this ability and has this gift to
Hmm.
deepen it. It's like any other muscle. It's learning how to tune in. And I just had a conversation with two ladies that I had a couple of days ago, and
Hmm.
that was the same thing because they're both wanting to. The question was, can I have the same ability as you? How did you get there? Is it possible? And I want to tell people it's absolutely possible. It's
Hmm.
just learning to again, it's like learning any other kind of skill. It's learning how to tune in and then just building and layering on to that and deepening into it. I think I just had a head start because I was, maybe even in a past life, or no, I'm pretty sure I've had other readers tell me that in past lives, this was the kind of work that I've always done.
Hmm.
So for me, it was just very natural to step into it in this lifetime. But for other people, it may be new to them. But I firmly believe that everybody has this ability to tune in and to channel and to get this type of wisdom and knowledge shared with them. So it's not meant for just special people. Everybody has the ability. It's just the ability, it's just how to learn how to do it. So that's one of the things that I'm starting to offer now is teaching people and training people how to really tap into their own abilities
Hmm.
and get
Yeah,
their own information. Yeah.
I think it could be useful in life and in business and in relationships, and understanding other people a little more deeper, or having the right intuition when you speak with someone. I actually think I do pretty good on that front when uh, it's funny you said pictures,
Mhm.
and I never even thought of this ever. But I used to have my personal chef business, and I was doing different diets for different people. One time, and I will never forget this, I don't know why, but one time somebody approached me, they found me online, and it was like, you got to save me. I have this multiple issues with the digestive system, da da da. I'm right now in a hospital. You have to save me. You have to start working with me.
Mhm.
And that was my field. I was honored. And I I replied, well, right now I can't really start anybody new. I'm booked to capacity, but I'll let you know as soon as something opens. And he wasn't happy with that, and he was pushing further, and it started giving me wrong vibe. Even
Mm.
though I was being pursued for business, which is like great problem to have, something felt off and I couldn't pinpoint it. I went online and looked up his name, and a picture came up, and I had very, very bad vibe from that picture.
Mm.
No
Yeah.
reason. Good looking guy, nothing wrong with him. And at that time, my husband was still alive, and we usually had the same feeling about things. So I printed out that picture. I was like, what does it make you feel? And he goes, nothing. Good looking guy, fine. I'm like, what's wrong with me then? And I'm like, I couldn't shake it off. Well, I didn't listen to my intuition. And when he approached me again, I was like, okay, let me figure it out. And I changed things around to be able to accommodate him. And it proved up to be one of the worst clients that I ever took. Uh, it ended very soon because I realized that, oh my gosh, that the intuition is always right. And for
Okay.
some reason, we decide not to listen. And it always proves that it was the right feeling.
That is so true. If I can tell anybody anything, is to learn how to trust your intuition. Trust that your body will tell you. You know,
Yeah.
the body doesn't lie. So it's just, again, that's part of learning to be able to trust, to step into your abilities, is
Hmm.
learning to trust that intuition.
Yeah.
And when you start doing that, then you're going to start getting more information and just, that's how it develops. And that's one of the hard lessons, same thing that I had to learn. I had met a woman, and when I met her, again, she seemed very nice, very pleasant, very cordial, pretty, but the hair on the back of my neck was standing up. So,
Crazy, huh? Yeah.
eventually, and so the years went on, we wound up working together, blah, blah, blah. But then it eventually, the friendship just broke apart. And then she just started backstabbing me later on. And just, I'm like, oh, I wish I had listened to my intuition years earlier when
It
I
was
first
in there all along.
was
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
now I have learned very, learn from that hard lesson to listen to the intuition, listen to what the body is telling you, because it's not going to lie. You will
Yeah.
know.
The gut is always right.
That is right. The
Yeah.
gut.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit how does it look like when you work with people? Can you work with them online or do you
Oh,
have to have them in front of you? How does it work?
both. I can work with people um, sitting right next to me, or
Mhm.
I can work with people online, just on a Zoom call.
Is
Is
it harder?
No, I thought it would be, just my mindset was thinking, oh, I wonder if it's going to be harder. But I found that it's the same
Mm.
working one way or the other. I mean, we have this wonderful technology to be able to connect with people across the miles, thousands of miles.
Yeah.
So it's just another tool. So the same way, just as if you and I were sitting here talking, this is the same thing that I would do. When I do readings for people, I tell them it's just going to be like we're just having coffee and a conversation. And that's how I like to take it. So I tell people you're welcome to just, I don't want them to feel like they're feeding me information, because I don't do research on clients beforehand. It's just, okay,
Yeah.
let's just sit down, let's just see what comes through. And that's how we work. And I say, if you have a question as I'm passing you the information, or what I'm being shown, again, it's like when I get information, it's kind of like, and I look down because, and kind of half close my eyes, because it's just, I'm being shown images. It's like almost like watching a movie. And then I'm just relaying what those images are,
So
what I'm
how do
seeing.
you know how to you see image and you can interpret it many different
If
ways?
I can, yeah, that's the interesting part, is that I'm being shown an image, but when I'm being shown an image, for example, I was being shown an image of I was, someone had asked me about, their life path, what's on their path. So I was telling them, okay, you know what, I'm seeing this, usually what happens is if people ask me about their life path, I'm being shown their path, but the paths are all different, and it's representative of where they are at the time. So one person, I saw them walking along this solid marble path, and there was a representation for that. Somebody else was walking along a dirt path. Somebody else was on a concrete path. Somebody else was on a highway. And so they were all different. But the information that I get, and this is where just tuning in also, I'm shown the image, and then I just am either hearing words or giving the feeling, okay, what does this represent? And
So
it's
they
just,
come with some guidance, kind of.
yeah, the images come with the guidance, or I can just feel into it. And I say, or like, let me use the example of one person's path. There was a boulder, a big boulder, maybe about a 5 foot by 5 foot big boulder. It was not on their path or in
Mhm.
front of them, but it was right beside them. And I just knew that this boulder was not going to roll into their path and become a block in front of them. But what I got was, and I was shown an image of the person um, being shown to lean into that boulder, to lean up against it. And what I get, so it's more like I get sensations, and I get impressions of what that boulder represented. And what
Mhm.
that boulder was representing to that person, it was to remind them to lean into their strengths, that they had forgotten who they were, but they needed to lean into all the things that had built them up to this point. And to remember that there was such great strength right there. And then so we started talking about their strengths, but that's just one of the ways that information comes. And then
Mhm.
we used that boulder representation to also then help show them where they could go further on that path.
That was my next question because do you just read for them or do you actually can you offer coaching them on them and help them develop what they need where they need to go?
It's a little bit of both. And as I always tell people, the readings that I do are a moment in time. So
Hmm.
anything that I am sharing with them is not it's not changeable because we
Yeah.
always have the free will, so they can always change that path. But I'm showing them what I'm going to call it universe, spirit guides, angelic realm, whatever you want to call it. This is what I'm being shown that's in their best interest at this time. So I can show them and I can see where they are on their path. So for some people, they needed to know that. So for one person, they were on a concrete path, almost like a sidewalk. So I
Hmm.
said, you are on a firm foundation and you are going forward. Sometimes the path, I can tell them that, I'm just seeing a very straightforward path. Or for another person, I can tell them that, I'm being shown kind of you've got a windy path. And along this windy path, there are some things that you can observe
Hmm.
and you can go off the path and explore those. So, like, they're options. And so, like, one person, there was a gentleman standing off to the side of the path. And I said, this person is standing off to the side of your path, offering his hand out, as if in support of what you are
Hmm.
wanting to do. So be open to that. You have the opportunity to kind of veer off your path a little bit and explore whatever it is that he wants to offer to you because it is being offered in a supportive way. Or if you're feeling good, you can just continue on as you want to. So it's those kinds of things that we can point out. Or
Hmm.
I can also tell them that based on what I'm being shown, like if I'm being shown bushes or greenery along their path, I can tell them that, this path that you're walking on, it is showing growth and development. And
Hmm.
so you can continue on this path. The thing I always tell people too is that I don't ask to see negative information. I'm not asked to, so I will never tell anybody, oh, you're going to get sick next week.
Yeah.
You're going to lose a
Yeah.
love. I just don't ask for that information, so I'm not given that information. So what I'm
Hmm.
always asking for information is information that's in the highest and best interest of that individual. So the information is always going to be supportive for that person. They might be some redirects in there because again, it's in their highest and best, but the information is always coming from a very loving and supportive place.
Did it ever happen to you that someone was in front of you and you couldn't read at all? Like you couldn't see the way?
No, it was interesting. It's interesting what I've always getting. And that's always a fear. I mean, that was a fear going into readings is, am I being a clear channel? Am I going to be able to read this person? I used to have
Hmm.
such a fear of that. But in all of the readings that I have been doing, over the years now, I've never not been able to read anyone. Even I think if people come to me as a slight skeptic, but I don't really have people that come to me as skeptics because when they are coming to me for
They
a
are
read,
ready.
they've heard about me or they were referred to me
Hmm.
and they truly want information, or maybe they've exhausted all of the other means for getting information. It just wasn't working. So now they're coming for information. So it is interesting though what I get in terms of information because sometimes I'll get a lot of details about a person's life and I'm just keep showing. And the longer that the reading goes, the more details that I'm shown. So, I do sometimes I'll do half-hour readings and sometimes I'll do an hour readings, but the longer it is, the more in depth that I can go with someone. There was one person that I did a reading for, and I just found it very interesting was that I was not shown like a life path or anything um, that she was moving along or anything. It wasn't anything negative. And I just said, the only thing that I am getting from being shown from you was I was being shown that she was standing on this really tall, almost like an overlook. Okay. And it was like it's overlook high above the clouds. And I just said, I'm just showing, and I'm getting the word expansiveness, expand, really wide open. There is whatever your message that you are wanting to give to people, it's coming from a very high place. You are delivering it from a very high place, a very high level consciousness, and a very good purpose for whatever this is. And that's all that I am being shown for you. And as we kind of discussed and talked later on, I said, I have to tell you, I don't think you've been on this earth a long time. I said, you're a little different. And then it came out, and this might sound very odd, but it turned out, she actually was not from this earth. She's one of those what we call kind of, I guess you might want to say, she wasn't born on this earth as a human being. Let's put it that way. Yeah, she was actually is um, here in a human form, but she was really I almost want to say she was an angel or something like that is the best way that I could put it into words. She was not, and I've had those kind of interactions with some people where I will just get information that just says, you know what, yeah, you're different and in a good way. And that's exactly what she was. I mean, she kind of acknowledged, and that sounds very egotistical, but it was not. And she just said, I'm here to tell you, you have a gift.
Hmm.
And, and that's what it was. And she kind of affirmed that, yeah, she's here in an earthly form, but was um, not necessarily born into this earth in the way that we are.
Listen, there are spaces we will never get the answers to, and we try to make sense of things. Obviously, when people are religious, they look at for answers in religion and in God, and and some people are looking for universe, but we all know that there is something above us
Mhm.
that we don't, like the way we are created to be an absolute brilliant unique self helping machine, that we didn't do much for us to start breathing, or for our heart to beat, or for our blood to be circulated. That all happens without any of our control. So when you think of it, it's a brilliance on its own, the creation of human being. And
Right?
then when you start tapping into these waters, it is obvious that, just like I just mentioned with that intuition, for me, there are things that are unexplainable by logic. There are
Right.
things that we get the answers at the right time, or we ran into the right person at the right time. It seems, and you may believe it or not, but I'm sure you do. It seems like there are powers that are making things happen in our favor, and it always fascinates me, because I'm the one who was kind of like, yeah, right. I wasn't into this. I thought it was all voodoo, and I have no idea. But you kind of get the confirmation in your own life of things that are not explainable but somehow happened in your favor, or
Mhm.
happened to. Tony Robbins famously say, what you focus on grows. So if you are constantly focusing on your issues, on your problems, on your negative influences in your life, you will get more of that. And it may sound ridiculous to somebody that don't believe in these things, but it is proven neurologically, it is proven by science that this is exactly how it works. Because if we can make ourselves sick with our thoughts alone,
Right.
we can make ourselves well with our thoughts alone. And
Yeah.
that's not just us, but that's training and everything, but it is powerful. This organ between our two ears is very powerful. And when I believe, when you have this gift on top of that, when you can tap into the energy around you, and see things or hear things that other people cannot, because not because they can, but because they don't focus on it. And it is fascinating. So for me, like being ignorant about this field, all I see is the movie goes, then Whoopi Goldberg,
Right,
and people
right.
talking to her, and she's like, leave me or the medium that works with people that they can talk to their you know past relatives or stuff. So
Yeah,
for me that's kind of like imagining what this is, but it is, I believe it's different. But when you talk about it, you talk about whole different things that I'm trying to see if we can do something for our listeners to kind of prove how you do things or but I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You hit upon the word, the logical brain, and I talk a lot about that because, again, when I was in the military, everything, and even in the political realm,
Structure. Yeah.
everything had to be logical,
Yeah.
structured. It had to make sense. It had to have some sort of rationale behind it. And so I have clients that are that way too, but now they
Mhm.
are open to exploring it. So one of the things that I feel is my strength is being able to help people who are really in this logical realm. I mean, so many of us come from that, okay,
Mhm.
myself included. I'm considering myself more of as a bridge from this logical realm to this more mystical realm,
Mhm.
this intuitive world. And it's not that one is right or wrong, but it's learning how to get the two to work together. And it's like learning to let the intuitive side be the kind of be the compass, be the guide, let you help kind of figure out, okay, this is where you need to go. And then the logical brain is going to help figure out, okay, how do we get there?
Mhm.
So the things that I'm trying to do is just get people to kind of let go of that logical brain because it's so dominant in everything that we do and everything
Yeah.
that we're taught. But learning to let go of that, and then even the messaging that I'm getting is to help people kind of step out of that logical brain, but then step into their step into their heart space, step into that intuitive knowing, trust that intuitive knowing, and that is when you say that, how do you help people do that? I actually wrote and it's on my website. It's a free guide that 7 signs the universe is speaking to you and how to listen. And
Mhm.
that's one of the first ways that I help people kind of understand, okay, you're talking about what are the signs and things that they see, the person that shows up at just the right time, or the pull that you might feel to doing something or not do something.
Right.
Those are all these signs that we're being given, and just learning how to pay attention to those is part of helping to release that logical thought process and stepping into this intuitive knowing and
Yeah.
learning to blend the two together.
I think we are all educated, smart people, and I think the using the logical brain gives us this false sense of some control over what we do, because venturing in there that is unknown is kind of scary, and it's kind of feeling like you have no control over it. But I think that's exactly the point, because
Mhm.
sometimes we push so hard to where we believe we should go that we stop listening to the gut, and and it pulls us, because that perspective above us is bigger than what we can see with our human eyes, based on our experiences, that we filter what we see based on our mood and experiences we have in life. Because like you can show 5 people the same movie and each will walk away with different experience based on
Mhm.
their moment of where they are emotionally, what can trigger them, what resonates. And so it's everything is objective, kind of, or
Yeah,
subjective.
subjective. Again, it's filtered through the lens of our lifetime, and
Yeah.
and that's about the only way that it can be. That's what we know.
But that's why it's so fascinating when somebody has this ability to kind of give you a little different guidance.
Mhm.
And maybe, I don't know, even something you may not want to hear, right? At some
But,
point.
and the thing that I tell people too, it may not even be information that I'm passing on, but I truly believe that when we don't listen to our intuition, then the universe is going to have a way of stepping in and finally saying, okay, we're going to have to hit you upside the head.
Make us
So
listen. Yeah.
because and make us listen. And for me, I was not listening. I was in this job, this working for this private company, and it was not good. It was a toxic environment, and I knew
Mhm.
I needed to leave, but the pay was good,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
but it didn't sing to my soul at all. It was not. It was so not in alignment with me, and I
Mhm.
knew I needed to step away, and it was just not a. I knew I needed to walk away, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
Hmm.
Well, as I was having those thoughts, eventually what happened was within a day or two, I got let go from the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, fine. So I truly believe that because I was not willing to do it, the universe pushed me and
Yeah.
said,
Oh,
this is
yeah.
what's going to happen.
That
You need to get
that
out of
totally
there.
happens. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
get out of there and look at something else. And that was probably just the most beautiful thing that could have happened to me because I thought, okay, great. Next, what's happening
Yeah.
next?
Yeah.
Forced me to look in the other
Yeah.
direction, which is where I needed to go, was start looking.
Sometimes when these things happen, we are like devastated because if it's, God forbid, job loss or anything. But looking back, and this is the cliche that we always heard in our life, looking back, everything is there for a reason, but it always is. It
Yeah,
always means that it opens the door to something even better. And so you may think it's coincidence, but it's likely not. It's
right.
likely, just like you said, like you didn't listen to me 5 times, so now I make you
We're gonna
listen.
we're gonna push you now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it always happens. So I tell people who come to me, a lot of time people come to me because they're at a crossroads, for job loss, or they've had a life transition. Maybe they've lost a partner for whatever reason, death or divorce, or they're empty nesters, or they've just retired, or like I said, they got let go from a job and they
Mhm.
don't know what to do next. But this is where instead of trying to go back and knock on those closed doors again or recreate the life that has passed, I said, this is the opportunity to start looking ahead and just to start exploring and seeing what else is being shown to you to move forward in something that's probably going to be even more rewarding and more fulfilling for you. And that's the beauty of what these readings do for people is it shines light on other opportunities.
I don't want to misuse your talent and time, but do you want to do a little reading on me,
I
maybe?
would, oh, I would.
You know my crossroads. I am curious, is it happening the way I want it, or is it gonna be complicated? The transformation that I'm going through is it's interesting, and you know about it. So
I knew about it. So yeah, so I don't want that to cloud anything, but I will just tell you as you're speaking here, let's just do a little reading and kind of read into it. And I'm just kind of opening a little space here because what I'm seeing right now, what I'm being shown right now is it's funny as you're talking, I'm seeing a sailboat on the water. Okay. So you're supported on this water. I'm just seeing this sailboat. Um, it's a clear day, okay, but there's not much wind, so the sailboat isn't being pushed in any direction, one way or the other, right now. Okay, it's kind of like it's like you're sitting on this sitting almost like in a bay. Okay, it's a calm bay. There's water. You're being supported. So the water below you in this sailboat is usually representative of support. So you are being genuinely supported. Okay. Um, let's just see what else is. I'm getting that. Okay, there is now a little bit of a breeze that's kind of guiding you in this bay that's guiding you towards a destination that's in the distance. It's like okay, so you're out in this bay in on the water being supported, but now you're being guided to just a very gentle push towards almost want to kind of the word civilization came to me. Okay, so you're being pushed towards this, towards land, towards ground, okay, towards land, civilization, the land representing firmer ground, firmer footing. Okay, so you're being just gently, it's going to be a gentle. So this isn't going to be anything that is rushed. There is not like this big, huge push that you might be expecting. It's just this very gentle guidance that's kind of taking you to shore. And I'm actually seeing a hand being held out from the shore that's kind of like
Mm.
guiding you in. Okay, so in other words, you are going to get the support that you need to guide you into shore, is what I'm being told. All right. So it's almost like, and the feeling around all of this of the weightlessness. You know how you're on a boat, and I don't know if you have a boat or been on just a small sailboat type thing.
Yeah.
It's light. Okay, so it is encouraging you to be know that it's there is no heaviness weighted around this. Everything that I'm sensing, everything I'm feeling for you at this time and moving forward, there is a lightness about it. So you don't have to put any heavy weight into that. Know that again, you are being supported by the water. You're being guided towards this grounding, this more stable. It's not that you're unstable, but you're just kind of it's showing that you're in this transition phase right now. Okay,
Yeah.
and being guided towards this. I'm seeing buildings in the background. They're not super tall buildings. It's kind of like almost like just like a small city. And I think when I see structures like that, those are, again, even more supportive elements for you that you're being guided towards, that you're being shown that here in the distance, you may not feel them or see them right now or feel all of that support, but know that there are support structures, even more support structures that are going to be there that are waiting for you. So
Mhm.
the hand reaching out, um, just wanting to let you know, I think, is that you just need to reach out. Okay. It's okay for you to reach out and know that there is plenty of support waiting for you
Yeah.
ahead. Okay. Yeah, the water is very blue. It's clear. Everything that I'm being seen, there's not even any clouds around. So everything is very clear. It's a very light feeling that I'm getting. The word that's coming up for me right now is risk. Okay. Again, I'm not getting risk like I'm just trying to sense into what the word risk, what that has around you. It's not a, it's almost like, okay, what they're just saying is go ahead and take the risk.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. It's not a negative
Right.
type of
It's not like a warning kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like okay, it's almost like okay, they're saying okay, kind of get out of that logical brain a little bit and be willing to examine the risk here. Okay, because I think maybe what they're saying is that you may tend to hold back on what you want to do and are afraid of taking a bit of a risk because it's not something that maybe 100% makes sense to you.
Mhm.
Okay, but what they are saying is that examine that risk. They don't say you have to take it, but look at it maybe a little bit more thoughtfully than you normally would with so don't necessarily just dismiss it right
Mhm.
off the bat. Okay? So that's the word that's coming forward is risk. I'm still being shown this large hand. It's kind of like just this hand. I'm not seeing any kind of a body attachment. It's not that there's nobody there with it, but I am seeing again this very large hand being extended towards you as this little sailboat that you're on is moving towards shore. So there is something again with the supportive buildings in the background. There is something or someone again anything that I'm being shown, it's not necessarily literal. It's just that there is some
Symbolic.
hand up, some support that is in the offering for you.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's large. It's large. I mean, it's just it's large is the best way that I can say this. So there is some big it's not a hand out, it's a hand of extension for
Mhm.
you. Okay. It's something that you again, all of these things are things that they're considerations for you. So know that that helping hand is there. It's going to be there for you. All right. You are not in this alone is the message that is coming through very, very clearly. Oftentimes it seems like you might feel that you are alone, but you need to remember you are never alone. You are that water, that buoyancy is to remind you that you're in no danger of falling overboard.
Mhm.
You are strongly supported. It's a smooth, it's just the water. Again, it's supportive
Yeah.
of you. So those times when you're feeling like you're very much alone, which yeah, they're showing you are alone on this water, but it's also a reminder that you are very much
Nurtured.
you're
Yeah.
very being very nurtured. You are very much supported is what keeps coming through for me. You just
Mhm.
need to kind of maybe look a little bit deeper. Again, now being shown the water and the deepness of the water, the cool blue, the deep blue of it, but knowing that the support runs deep for you. Just go
Mhm.
back and maybe rethink and reevaluate all the measures of support. I'm even being shown little fishes under the water. So there's lots of things that's what's coming. It's in the underneath there. There is a lot more support than you even imagine. There's a lot more you, underneath you in this boat that is there to support you. So maybe look at other things that maybe you haven't examined before. Okay, look very deep within your own self, and then look very deep at what is surrounding you. Because, um, yeah, in this time, that's just maybe like it's a transition. Boats on the water generally represent a transition, a passing of time, but it's very much knowing that you are supported. And I know those kind of sound, sometimes these readings to others from the outside, these readings might sound like, okay, you can tell that to anybody.
Yeah,
But
but no, because it affects that I was thinking the same thing because when I ask you how do you interpret those images, we interpret it
yes.
on the receiving end because you know what exactly you're going through and Kathy doesn't. I mean, she knows something, but she doesn't know all the details. But you start getting the messages as she is saying it, and you apply it on your situation, and suddenly you can start seeing things that yeah, it's exactly. Thank you so much for this. This is, you're right, because when you listen to it from outside, of course, like, yeah, you can, that could apply to anybody, but it could not, maybe, because other person sitting in front of you will you will see something else, and
Hmm.
it applies to their moment of time where they are and what is happening in their life. And I'm grateful for you, for this. Thank you so much.
Yes. So again, that was just like a little mini snapshot of where it, and as I'm doing readings for people, again, the details, even more details start
Yeah,
forming for them.
and
So
like you said, the longer time you spend, the more details comes out.
more
So
details come through, and it's really interesting.
it clarifies the way, it clarifies your thinking, it clarifies even maybe your own intuitive motions that you didn't know what to do with, and suddenly it starts making sense, right? It just clicks. Yeah, it is. I think I told you, I I have never believed in these things. I was total skeptic. I was like, yeah, right, eye roll.
Right. Absolutely.
But one time in my life, and that's a long time ago, when it was just before we were making decisions to move to America. And so this is 24 years ago. I had a friend in Prague who knew a psychic that was from that very famous family. She was writing books, she was on TV. It was in their family for generations. So she was one of the most respected ones, and I would never in a million years dream of going there, like, you know, but she did, my friend, and she told me, she convinced me to go.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know, it's ridiculous, and but she was reading from cards. Like, you come in and she deals the cards. You touch. I don't remember exactly how it was, but I mean, the card spreads on the table, and she's reading based on that. we didn't exchange a word except hello, you know. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know my name. She didn't know anything about me. And I just want to illustrate for somebody that may be as skeptical as I was, because I was also like being smart ass and thinking like, yeah, the more information she gets, she can like
Right.
tailor it to whatever. And it wasn't the case. And she started telling me things that I remember the feeling when like my mouth was opening, and eventually when I left, I remember like walking on a sidewalk. It's like I felt like my mouth was still open because, that logical brain couldn't make sense of it,
Yeah.
because it was impossible for her to know these things.
Yeah.
And it was not just, like you said, that may sound generic to some people, because it applies to your life in that moment.
Hmm.
She mentioned things that there was no way, I wasn't even admitting myself. She
Right.
mentioned things that my husband was going through, that there were people in our life that he trusted and he shouldn't. She knew that we have this big transformation in front of us because we were moving to America over the ocean, leaving my family over there. It was a huge move. She had no idea about that. She said to me something to the extent like, you, 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 you are in front of this big step. You should take it now rather than later. One of the reasons why I kind of went there in the back of my mind, but I never asked her about it, was we were kind of deciding, should we wait for this event to go through and then move, or should we move right away? Because there was something big in front of us that we kind of thought that we should stay and finish or leave now. And she kind of answered it for me, and she was 1,000,000% right.
Wow. Yeah.
Turns out that those people that my husband trusted were not trustworthy, and it would cause us huge harm. And I remember she was like, then she asked me if I want to know anything concrete. So I asked about health. She was giving me health information about my siblings. She didn't
Mm.
even know if I had siblings. So what I why I'm saying that is, yes, you may, if you just listening to this and you were like, yeah, right, so she can tell that anybody. No, it applies to you at that moment of the time. And only you can interpret it to what is going on in your life, because that psychic or Katie or that psychic in Prague, she had no clue what was going on in my life at that moment. She just said what she saw. And
Hmm.
I remember that feeling, walking away with my mouth open, and I'm like, wow, there is no logical explanation to this. So you have to admit and realize that there are powers or forces, that are helping us, leading the way. And it's up to us if we choose to listen and get guided and stop pushing,
Hmm.
because the push creates pull. It's sometimes, these all these metaphors come to mind when we go against the grain and we believe this is the right way, and everything is screaming at us no,
Right.
and we still push. So yeah, I'm sure anybody can imagine these moments in their life when they did something despite everything telling them not to, and then either paid dearly for it or just realized that they were deeply wrong, and they couldn't explain why there was this push not to do that, but they did it anyway. And so I just hope that, thank you, Kathy, for it. I just hope that people understand that we may let go and we may really get quiet and start listening, like listening to your body, listening to what you are guided to do, and you may be surprised. And it doesn't matter if you I am a Christian. I believe in God. I believe it's a God guiding me, but you don't have to be religious. If you are not religious, it's the powers that you believe.
Hmm.
can guide you. It doesn't mean that you are non-believer. It doesn't mean that you are atheist. It doesn't mean that you are religious. You don't have to buy into any of it. It's your personal beliefs that matters to you, and it's there. I think no matter what, it's there. No matter what religion, no religion, whatever you believe in, it's there to guide you, and it's outside of us, and that's the fascinating world that people want to explore but are kind of afraid to, but I love it.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like there are those of us who are on this path to, again, help the others who, are searching for answers when maybe the conventional ways aren't working anymore.
Yeah,
So let's just maybe step into something else because we are so limited in our thinking that we really, when we start opening up to alternatives, it's amazing what can come through in different ways.
yeah,
I've even had the experiences where acting as a medium, I have had deceased relatives come through too to give information and guidance and support. So to people that I've been reading for. So it's all just, it's all fascinating.
it
And
is. Yeah, it is. And it's just like you said, if we our mind is limited, or we use it limitedly.
yes, yes, it's
That,
our mind.
yeah,
It's unlimited.
yeah,
And
but we use like 5% of the
yeah,
capacity, I
that's
believe.
exactly right.
But it is just to allow yourself to listen and to explore, because it doesn't mean that you have to take whatever
Exactly.
comes out. Doesn't matter, nobody's telling you what to do. But if you, like, for me, the reason I ask you, and I always also wanted to showcase what you do and how you do it, but for me it's also like sometimes you're just seeking clarity. You just like, you want to organize your thoughts, and you want to see if there is any pull and push anywhere on that way, because only I know what kind of decisions I'm making right at this moment. And for me it kind of opens the possibility that no matter what I decide, there's this support around me. And that quiet water also means a lot, because it took me a long time to kind of be not in control, but learn how to calm down and not be pulled with any wind, whatever information, emotions. It is a long time process to kind of enjoy that you can get into calm
Hmm.
place, and that water symbolizes that for me, that I am actively working on being calm and not be, triggered with everything, like, especially these days. It's just, I see people being triggered with the most innocent comment or word or something, and I think they lost control over themselves, because if anything can trigger you, then anything can control you.
That's so true. So
Yeah.
true. So
I
true.
think it's so important we work on ourselves and really guide ourselves to the calm state when you actually can listen and pay
Mhm.
attention and focus. Because I used to, when I first started coaching, I remember I wrote a post, and it just came to me one day. It was like, do you notice how much clarity you gain when you are in a shower?
Yeah.
Because you are not interrupted with anything. You
Hmm.
are in the shower, water powering over you, and you are not on a phone, you are not watching something, you are not talking to five people at the same time. We have we live in this noise that we allow,
Yeah.
that we cannot hear because of the noise. So it is so important to step out, and the shower was like symbolism for me. You go into shower, you are there by yourself most of the time. You have a water going, over you, and it's a moment of peace and calm. And suddenly idea comes out.
Mhm.
because it could, because you are actually listening, because you are not busy with anything else. So I think we have to create these shower moments more often to kind of be able to listen what's happening, the guidance that is there, the GPS that we know where we are and when we wanted to go, but we don't always know how to get there, and either we seek for help, that could be that big hand, or we learn to listen carefully, to pay attention to signals, to pay attention to marks that come along the way, or opportunities, or like you said, symbolism, the things that matter to you because you know where you need to go. We don't have to know the entire way, but knowing that you are guided makes it much easier.
Yeah, it's that getting quiet is so crucial for everything. And even in the shower, I tell people, I don't personally just sit down and meditate. I'm too antsy to do that, but I can get in the shower. That is my meditation time
Yeah,
frame. So people don't realize that they can actually meditate, even if they're just on a walk or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
You don't have to sit cross-legged on the floor and do chanting to
Yeah,
meditate.
yeah, yeah,
That's those quiet moments that you can create, and that's where the information you are now allowing the opportunity for guidance to come through for
yeah,
you and learning
yeah.
to listen to your own intuition.
I have a friend in Texas who says, I take my dog and we go for a walk to the forest. That's my time. I don't put anything in my ears. I'm not listening to music. I'm not answering calls. I am walking. And that's the time when the best ideas comes to me. And I think we used to call it clearing my head. Like
Mhm.
certain activities help you clear your head. For me, it's even cooking. I love
Yeah.
cooking. I always loved cooking and creating in a kitchen. And it makes me focus on one thing because you cannot be doing like I tried. It doesn't end well. When you put something on the stove and go, oh, well, let me just check this email. And then next thing you know, it's you smelling something dangerously burned from the kitchen. So it doesn't work that way. And I'm a chef. I really, truly, genuinely enjoy cooking and creating recipe and love the creating flavors that I will enjoy. It's like part of my religion almost. I don't take food as just a fuel or something necessary to deal with. No, I pay attention what I put into my body. I'm intentional about it. I pay attention if I'm getting enough quality nutrition, and when I'm cooking, that's my relax, that's my joy kind of moment when it forces you to focus on that and it's pleasant. And sometimes, yes, sometimes ideas come through, and for others it's a chore and they hate it. So I think you have to find your own way. If you have a problem meditating, because some people tell me they can't and they fall asleep, nothing wrong with that. Even if you just take few breaths and just like slow down and focus on breathing for a minute or two, you just started training your body to meditate. And it's not just like the newest voodoo. This is a technique that is used by monks for generations and thousands of years, and it allows them to overcome really difficult things and come up with brilliant ideas. It's so necessary part of the life. And my podcast is mostly about health and wellness. This is such a huge part of that
Mhm.
because I see people taking all kinds of supplements, all kinds of things that they believe are good for them, but they have no idea how to release stress from their life, and it's killing them silently. It
Right.
is it is so powerful. If you are constantly in this stress mode, your body cannot repair, relax, restore. It's just constantly fighting. And so this is big part of it too, because when you allow people to kind of see the guidance, calm down in their worries, and kind of find a way. I think it's big part of like peaceful transformation and really learning that things can be done differently without push. And sometimes when we stop pushing, the best way shows forward. I don't know. This is
Yeah.
my theories here.
No, I think you are so right in that. Again, it really just comes down to learning how to get quiet, whatever method works for you. I love the cooking. Actually, we were talking before we started recording, and you asked, that I was up early. Well, actually, that's what I was doing. I'm trying to learn how to cook sourdough bread. And so I was up
Oh,
this morning. My kitchen looks like a science lab, but it's so rewarding because I
I
was
can
just
give you my recipe, baby.
Oh, yes, I want your recipe. So I'm working on it and working on it. I just started this exploration of how to do that. But it
So
is,
you
you
had
kind
the
of,
starter?
yeah, I've had the starter going for about 2 weeks now, so it's going. So yeah,
It may
and
not be ready yet. It depends.
yeah, it depends. And it's also, I'm learning to deal with humidity here in
Yes.
Hawaii. So
Yeah.
that has
Yeah.
impacted some of the recipes. So it's still a process. Um, but that's what I'm learning. It's just everything, it's a process. That's the same
Yeah.
thing that I was getting. So as I'm working on these loaves and taking them out of the oven, I'm thinking they look good, but they were very small and compact. So I'm thinking, you know
Mhm.
what? This is a process.
Yeah.
Keep working at it. And what a beautiful analogy is a reminder for me. We're not needing to push. It's
Mhm.
just keep working at it and allowing it to come through. And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to come out fine eventually. But
That's
it's
that's the thing because we are so afraid to let go of the control that we think we have.
yeah.
And I think this is fabulous reminder that yeah, no, you don't have all the control, baby.
We don't have the control. And as I'm working on it here, I mean, Hawaii's got this natural humidity, and then we've had heavy rains come through. I'm like, okay, this is even going to throw it off even more. So it's just like, just keep working with it. Whatever it is that you're doing, just keep going with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But you can also just release and relax into things too. You don't have to be so stressed
Yeah.
about it. The
Yeah.
releasing is such a big part of being able to get quiet and to get calm instead of just trying to fight and push
And
and
that's what we most naturally do. We try to like save the situation. We try to do something, and it's sometimes create the worse than better.
yeah.
I have learned one technique a long time ago from someone, and I can't remember to give the proper credit, but it's really is what an exercise to learn to let go of the control when you this was at times that I was quite stressed about finances and things were not working well and I like that's not a time that you want to pull off and let things happen because you have bills coming in and you feel like you have to do something. And I remember we were talking and she said, "Go and get a watermelon." And I'm like, "What?" And she said, "Go and get the watermelon and then go outside and focus on what you're dealing with and give that problem away. Give that problem to someone. Take that watermelon and dump it on the floor. The
Mm,
act of that melon spurging into million pieces, it gave me the feeling that I am giving those problems to someone else. It doesn't mean that someone else will fix your problems, but it kind of let me step back and see, okay, I have to calm down because
yeah,
in this state of stress, you cannot even see
right.
solution even if they were presented to you. So that's the whole point of this thing. It's not like miraculously somebody will take care of your problem. No, but you will be able to receive the guidance you need and maybe solution you couldn't even see because you are in the middle of stress. and
Right.
and that's the thing with the shower, with all these things. We have to learn how to train ourselves to come back to the calm mindset no matter what,
Mhm.
because in that state the solution shows up. It cannot show up when you are handling five, six different things at the same time and freaking out and just like you can hear a thing and just making yourself sick. So it is hard because when it's stressful, of course it's stressful. But I think, especially for people that are in business or running their own business, we kind of feel that we need to control everything. And that stress is so profound that we are destroying our health and maybe even relationships because the work is first. And then, no, you have to take care of yourself first. Because if you fall apart, nothing else will work.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're no good to anybody if you're not able to be present.
Yeah. And it's not, that's not selfish. That's, and we as a woman, we have this gift to think that we have to save the world and everybody with any problem, that we have to be there for everybody and we want to split ourselves to million pieces to be everything to everyone. And it's the opposite is true. If we are not stable and fine and well and nourished and taken care of, we can't really help anyone. And it's I would like to put it as a big reminder because I was that person. I was like everything was more important than me.
Mhm.
And like you said before, the universe have ways to remind you if you don't listen.
Oh yeah, exactly right. If you don't take care of yourself, then the universe is going to say, "Okay, you know what? Guess what? We're gonna make you slow down." I was going too hard here a few weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago, and um, finally the universe said, "Okay, you're not listening to us and you're not slowing down, so we're going to make you slow down." And I had a hamstring injury. So it was like,
Oh.
oh, I couldn't play golf. I couldn't, it was so painful that I just had to slow down and sit. And that's
Mhm.
what I did for about a month. Just slow down. So
Yeah.
I'm better now. Thank you. But yeah, the universe really has these ways of reminding you when it's time to slow down or when it's time to listen or when it's time.
Isn't it interesting when something like that happened that suddenly everything can wait?
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing that had to be so pressing. I just needed to slow down. That's all
Yeah.
it was. So,
Yeah.
and during that time frame, it was like because I was thinking, okay, what am I going to do with my time now? Because I used to play so much golf that I was doing this as well. And then all of a sudden, I started getting signs that said, "Look, look at these photography images that you used." Because I had put photography on the back burner for a number of
Mhm.
years now. And it just said, "Hey, look at you found all of a sudden I found this file of my images that were beautiful." And I thought, oh, I was a really good photographer. And
Yeah,
then
yes, you are. Mhm.
some other messages started coming through. I haven't paid attention to photography in years, but I started getting emails from an instructor that I hadn't heard from in a long time. And I thought, well, that's strange. All of a sudden, I'm getting these emails. He's either just restarted or whatever, but all of a sudden, these photography emails started coming through. And then a couple of other things happened that were photography related that, again, I hadn't had any connection to in years. So it was all during that time when I was sitting here just trying to recover and getting quiet again. But
Yeah.
it's
So you
interesting.
were reminded of your other gifts. So what did you do with it?
Well, so for the photography, I'm actually doing a couple of things with it. A friend of mine, I'm actually using the photography as metaphors or just reminders for people, but I'm actually going to be starting to create putting some of the channeled wisdom that I get onto I'm going to be creating these cards, like 5x7 cards, and
Mm.
one side will have the image, the other side will have a channeled message on
So
it.
is
So
it possible? That's interesting because is it possible maybe to give like channel message to a group of people or maybe a town or country or
yes, actually, because I do get messages, when I'm doing readings for some, maybe an individual, or even if I'm just doing a channeled reading for myself, just getting information. There is generally, if it's a repeating message that comes through in individual readings and then for myself too, then I know that that message is meant not just for that individual, it's meant for more people. So
Mhm.
that's what I generally do is I'll post it on my Facebook page or I'll put it out in, on different things in social media because it's a message that needs to be heard. So yes, there is a way to do that. And I've done channel readings and that's um messages for the masses, I guess, is what
Mhm.
I would say. And I've been trying to consider whether or not I wanted to put these in a book, but now I've realized that no, I'm supposed to combine it with the photography artwork that I do and make those available to people.
Yeah, your photography was beautiful. I have seen quite a few, and yeah, you have a good eye. You need to
Thank
use it. Yes,
thank
absolutely.
you.
So to say goodbye, I mean, we can talk about these things forever because we understand each other and we are on the same kind of page with these things. But anything that we didn't mention that you would like to leave as a message to people, how they can start to develop these talents if they choose so.
Sure. Yeah, I think if people are wanting to develop their talents, the thing that I would say is on my website, I have the ability for people to download a free PDF. It's a 15-page little guide that I put. Again, it's called The Seven Signs That the Universe is Speaking to You and How to Listen. So all they have to do is go to my website at kathleendavenport.com, and you'll see the prompt on there to download. It's under resources and can download that. And that's just really one of the first ways that they can start noticing.
Mhm.
And that's what I recommend, start getting quiet and notice some of these common signs to be able to start developing their abilities. And then I also have, if people want to, they can do readings with me to get their own information. But then I also am offering now training to help people actually develop their abilities as
Yeah.
well. So I'm working with people to do that
And
as well.
also, if you do if let's say you do reading for someone and something shows up that they would like to work on, are you also doing that you would
Yes.
continue coach them?
Yes, I have a continuing coaching. It's called a Crossroads to Clarity program. So if the thing that I recommend people do is maybe do one session with me or a couple of sessions because each session builds upon the previous one. So we just keep going deeper and deeper and getting more information for them. But if they also are working on something and want, I have a 60-day program where I take people into through readings and through almost like it's like the private coaching as
Mhm.
well. But we kind of blend the best of all worlds into that to help people get from where they are to where they want to be.
Which could be very valuable for somebody who has a very concrete thing in front of them and they are not so clear about how to approach it for the best results. There's always like any help you can get on that way to that saves you money, saves you stress, saves you mistakes that were not necessarily necessary to made and time usually because when you have a guidance with you it helps you see things that you wouldn't see otherwise and
That's
it's always beneficial.
that's why even we coaches, or even me as a reader, we coaches have coaches. When I was doing life coaching, I had my own life coach,
Yeah.
and now even as a reader, I have people that I go to get
Yeah.
readings from as
Yeah,
well because
because
we
you
can't we
need
can't
to, yeah,
we can't hurt
yeah.
ourselves.
You can see the tree for the forest, right?
That's
Yeah,
exactly it.
yeah,
So it's always helpful to get additional guidance. And what I'm finding with so many people now, so many people are the conventional means that we've had before in the conventional mindset work, it's not working for a lot of people. They're still stuck. So that's where now opening up to alternative information, and that is what I see as helping people get further faster.
definitely. Yeah. Well, this was fascinating. I hope it was for everybody. This was just a joy to speak to you again. Kathy Davenport, like I said, she's in Hawaii, but she comes to the land sometimes, and I will put every contact information in our show notes, of course. So if you feel like reaching out and you want to know more, please do so, or I'll be happy to make an introduction. But use this is incredible tool and I think we are all a little curious about it even when we are skeptical because I definitely was curious enough to go and have that experience and it stayed with me. I didn't do it since until now but it just yeah it's kind of it helps you sort things out even when it doesn't make sense at the beginning. you start applying it to your situation and suddenly it starts to make sense. And it makes you see more signs along the way yourself because now you're paying attention. So I think it's very, very beneficial for anybody in front of big decisions, anybody that's going through tough time, or anybody who is just curious what else is out there for me to explore. What is my purpose? What is the meaningful thing that I feel like I'm not fulfilled, like you were not fulfilled completely, even though you have incredible career behind you. And it's liberating. When you find your way, it is liberating. And that's kind of my peaceful message before, because we're recording this shortly before holidays, and instead of slowing down, some of us starts running around like rabbits and, oh my God, this has to be done, this is, da, da, da. No, just please take it easy, because I think the experience, the time with loved ones is more important than gifts and stuff and whatever you believe is important, because those things fade and go away, the memories will stay. And it's losing my husband, and you lost yours. It kind of makes you regret sometimes when you were too busy to enjoy it together, and then you can't take it back. So I don't want to end this on a sad note, but I just want this as a positive reminder. Treasure the time with the loved ones, because tomorrow is not guaranteed for anybody. And so just really, really don't take it for granted. Just do the best you can with it. And I have to remind myself, of course, because we kind of jump into the, the flow of things. But I'm more particular about taking time for myself, taking time for walk, going outside, enjoy the butterflies that are flying around me and imagining what it means. And it's just like, it's not forbidden. This is the life we have. This is not the dress rehearsal. So enjoy every moment to the fullest, because that's one thing that we cannot take back is our time. You can remake money, you can get everything back but time, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So Kathy, thank you so much. This was beautiful.
Well,
You
thank you for
are
having me.
aging backwards. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's such a joy to see your face, because your face shows that peace in you. Like, you are happy where you are. You are content. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. It's the aura around you that shows it, that you are on the right path. You know what you are put on earth to do.
Yes, and I'm getting to do it. So yes, thank you. Thank you again for having me. I just can't say enough
Oh,
good
it's
words.
joy. It's a joy. And I'm glad we met. It was coincidental, but I don't believe in coincidences either, because I believe that people that came to my path, and especially last few years, are really, every person means something
Mhm.
to explore and something to learn and something to be, to be shown. And once we listen to these messages, it's meaningful. That's the network. That is our net worth, right?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Happy
Thank you.
Hawaiian day. I have afternoon, you have morning.
Yes.
But it was joy. I'm so glad we did this again. And I hope that somebody who may need the guidance will reach out and use your services, because I don't know about anybody else who can do it for them with the
Thank,
loving, loving manner.
oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. Aloha.